Thomas More will look to repeat that performance after a double-digit victory against the Tigers, and this game has begun. Bailey Pedigo will have it. Pedigo leading the Mid-South in assists per game, averaging about 5.5. Brady, she's been just a blossoming character for this Tiger squad.
Yeah, inserted into the starting lineup this year. Of course, Madison Faulkner, really the only player they lost from last year's roster, but she's a big-time loss, 1,000-point scorer and rebounder as that shot goes out of bounds. But on offense, you'll see a lot of backdoor cuts, a lot of high ball screens, and then when that doesn't work, they'll find out an open shooter out on the perimeter. And here's what they do best, is it's full court press. They'll trap it, and they'll bring it into a matchup zone, much like you see Northern Kentucky's men's do with their head coach, Darren Horn. It really originated from Ralph Willard at Western Kentucky University.
Here's Barth for three, and Zoe Barth answers the call and gives Thomas More the first points of the night.
Boy, you gotta love that, to shoot over that press like that, and the missed shot there by Rogers. And you'll see Campbellsville press out of missed shots. Not many teams will do that. They're not going to show that hand quite yet, but they do have the ability to do that.
Here's Taylor Close now from downtown. That's not going to go. Rebound goes to Savannah Gregory. She'll give off to Pedigo, and the Tigers are on the prowl.
Thomas More does a really good job of getting back in transition and forcing a half-court set.
Here now, outside is Pritchett. Pritchett gives off to Pedigo. Pedigo, the bounce pass knocked away by Emily Simon, and the foul's going to be called on Savannah Gregory on the reach-in.
Simon did a really good job of contesting that pass on the backdoor cut. That's a scouting report play there that Simon was able to take advantage of.
Saints up by 3 as they look to break this press that so many teams have failed to do here throughout this year. Campbellsville, on an average night, will make you turn it over at least 20 times, sometimes 25 times even. And still will, this is just such an impressive team as McNutt makes that one from the baseline. Saints go up by 5, and Coach Hands, of course, has been preparing for this for quite some time.
Well, sure. He wouldn't admit it. I tried to get him to take the bait in our pregame interview, but he's like, yeah, man. He goes, we don't look too far out ahead for this, but in the back of their mind, they're working on stuff in practice little by little in preparation of a huge game like this.
Big offensive rebound there by Pritchett. Pritchett finding herself among the trees, and that's going to be a 3-second call on the Tigers. Another turnover for Campbellsville, and Thomas More will have the ball and a 5-point lead here. 7:56 to go in the first quarter.
An allowed gym, even though it's socially distanced, with a limited capacity. There's a lot of noise in this place between the Campbellsville bench, the Thomas More bench, the cheerleaders and dance team, and the folks that are here in attendance. So it is still a lively atmosphere, although under normal circumstances, Nate, this would be a packed house.
Missed shot there by Taylor Close. Now the Tigers in transition. It's Pedigo with the Euro step. That's not going to hit. Offensive rebound goes to Pritchett, and Pritchett's going to be fouled and will head to the charity stripe here for 2 free throws.
Yeah, that was 2 players there in the same spot. Not good spacing there for Campbellsville, but they got away with it. And they'll finally get a chance to go to the free throw line here and try to break the seal, as we are almost 3 minutes into this, and Campbellsville hasn't scored.
Pritchett, an 89% free throw shooter, so she's the one you want to have on that charity stripe, and she gives Campbellsville their first point here of the evening.
Yeah, badly needed there, but really they need to see a field goal from the outside go down.
Currently, Campbellsville 0 for 3 on this young ball game that we're getting to watch here on the Saints Sports Network. Pritchett's shot is no good, so a rare miss there, and the rebound will go to Emily Simon. Simon feeds up to Taylor Close. Close now pushing the pace. She'll give it up to Zoe Barth, and Barth will be fouled by Pritchett. It's a second foul here on the Tigers this quarter. And Thomas More will look to inbound.
Do it underneath their own basket there. Taylor Close triggering. She's really struggled with her offensive game the last couple of nights, but still played a solid point guard position. But it really like to see her kind of find her way offensively, get a basket or 2 to fall.
Close with a heavy head fake and mid-range jumper. That doesn't go, and Gregory will have that ball go out of bounds. So it'll stay with Thomas More, and right there, Savannah Gregory had the inside position on Emily Simon, just couldn't quite finish.
Yeah, you got to be able to take that board away. This just gives Thomas More another opportunity here.
Shot clock reset at 20. Here's Barth now. Barth working on Gregory, who's a little bit longer, and she's going to have to kick back over to her sophomore counterpart, Courtney Hurst. 10 seconds for Thomas More to shoot, and that's going to be a foul on Pedigo, the two-handed check. Brady, again, a couple years ago, that might not have been an automatic call, but now in this day and age, every time.
It's the classic freedom of movement foul. They want to make sure that you don't inhibit offensive play there, and that's exactly right. The two hands are automatic.
A nice takeaway there, it seems, for the Tigers. That's going to be Lexi Lake getting her hand in there and knocking it away. She's from a very, very talented basketball program, Brady, you were saying, from Mercer County.
Mercer County, multiple state championship teams. They won it twice during the Lake Sisters run there, along with Emmy Souter and Miss Basketball Sagan Robbins, who's down at the University of Louisville. Emma Davis was on that team as well. I mean, they were loaded for bear for Chris Souter's group.
Here now is Pedigo through the trees, and she's going to get called for the offensive foul.
What is that again? Is that Emily Simon? I know that isn't an official statistic, how many charges you take, but it really should be, because Emily Simon will be leading the league in that.
Pedigo, that would be her second foul here of the quarters, so something to keep an eye on for our Campbellsville fans. Here now is Emily Simon. Simon kicking it now back out to Hurst, and Hurst has that ball intercepted. Thomas More been so good on the turnovers here early, and that one just, maybe they moved a little too quick and gave it up.
Yeah, Lake was just right there, threw it right to her.
Now here is Lake, out to Pedigo. Pedigo, the bounce pass, and it's good from downtown for Sammy Rogers.
Yeah, Rogers had a career game against Freed Hardeman the other night, scoring 29 points.
It seemed like every time she let the ball go, it was going in. Here's Pedigo with the steal. Campbellsville getting back into their game. They only trail by one after another turnover for Thomas More.
Yeah, back-to-back trips, sloppy passes there by Thomas More, forced by this Campbellsville pressure.
And Rogers will stumble and fumble her way out of bounds, so Thomas More will pick that basketball back up with a 1-point lead and possession. 5:41 here to play in quarter numero uno. Here now is Barth. Barth trying to move through Pritchett. And it's going to stay with Thomas More, apparently off of Pritchett's foot. A lot of action here, Brady. Not a ton of points, as both of these teams can really run it up on you. I think this is just really what we're seeing in the first 4.5 is a good, solid showing of two of the best teams that the NAIA has to offer.
Well, Campbellsville is the best offensive team statistically in the conference, and defensively, Thomas More is as well. Thomas More has only given up 57.5 points per contest, while Campbellsville has scored nearly 87, and Simon gets her name in the book offensively right there.
A nice blow-by move there from Emily Simon, and the Columbus area native gets Thomas More a 3-point lead. Here's Pedigo now, giving over to Lexi Lake. Lake bouncing over to Gregory. Now back to Pritchett. Back to Gregory, the triple on the way. That's good, rattles its way in.
Finally, the score tied for the first time. I think we're going to see a nip-and-tuck game throughout here, Nate, and that's a bad pass by Close.
Now can Pedigo finish? It's going to be a foul on Taylor Close. She wanted all ball, but that's going to put Pedigo on the line for two. But before we do that, Brady, hey, buddy, it's time for a media timeout. So, everybody, we're going to hear from a word from our sponsors on the Saints Sports Network.
Yes.
Barleycorns, get over here.
Back to it here on the Saints Sports Network. Hi, everybody. It's been a fun one so far. Brady Labor, let's talk about the turnover game. As I mentioned earlier, Campbellsville will get in your shorts, and they will make sure that you give up a bunch. But right now, it's looking pretty even.
Yeah, both teams have committed 4 turnovers, and it's really has to do with each team's defense playing so well. Thomas more of a half-court variety of defensive style, where, again, Campbellsville will press you all over the gym. And that's exactly what we've seen so far. Neither one of these teams are going to hide from you. They do what they do, and they just challenge the other team to try to stop it.
Haley Pedigo knocks in both of those free throws. She's a pretty good free throw shooter on the air, about 78, probably now 79% after knocking both of those in. Maggie Jones has checked in for Thomas More, the freshman, as well as Summer Sechrist for TMU. A couple substitutions as well for the Tigers.
Yeah, Madison Shepard, number 3, checked into the game out of London, Kentucky, and there's a rebound there by Rogers. Also, Faith Lake, the other of the Lake twins, into the game as well for her sister Lexi.
She's sporting number 11 there as she has the ball and passes over to Shepard. Shepard now working to Rogers.
You're going to see that. Everybody who passes into that high post will do a cut there. And then it's the high post person's determination whether they're open or whether they shoot. That time, Rogers went for the shot.
And then Maggie Rogers for Thomas More will knock that basketball out of bounds. So it will stay here with the Tigers. They have a 2-point lead as Alexa Christman is checked in for Emily Simon.
Yeah, Christman, a difference maker here for Thomas More. Only in her 4th game so far after becoming eligible, a graduate transfer from Rice University. But she's an imposing figure down low as long as she doesn't foul and can stay on the floor.
Now here is Gregory. Savannah Gregory with 4 seconds to shoot. Gives it to Pritchett. Pritchett can't go anywhere. It's stolen away by Zoe Barth. And she's got the long outlet pass to the freshman in Jones. Jones ties it up at 9. A perfect steal, pass, and score for Thomas More.
Yeah, Zoe Barth just threw it far enough to where the only person on the floor that could catch it, or in this case catch up to it, would be Maggie Jones for an easy transition bucket.
Here's Sammy Rogers now giving over to Gregory. Gregory working on Sechrist. Sechrist right in the face of Gregory. And that's going to be a travel called on number 13 for Campbellsville. Another turnover. And we've got a substitution as Gregory checks out and Lexi Lake will check in. So both Lakes on the floor. We'll try to keep up with that.
Yeah, just call them by their first names for while they're out there together, Nate. But yeah, you're right. That half-court defense for Thomas More has just been absolutely stifling.
Here now is Sechrist, the stop-and-pop shot. That's no good, and Rogers has it for the Tigers.
Yeah, a little jump stop there. Sechrist just a little bit too strong with it.
Hustling around the edge is Pritchett. She'll give over to Rogers. Now here's Shepard. Shepard in the lane. Back out to Lexi Lake. And now with 10 seconds to shoot, Pritchett will pass over to Faith Lake in the corner. Scratch at Lexi Lake. Here now is Shepard. That's not going to fall, and Jones comes away with the rebound, and Jones will throw it off the hands of Faith Lake. It goes out of bounds and will stay with Thomas More.
Jones really struggling to secure that basketball. She almost fumbled it out of bounds. Now we have more substitutions come in here. This is a very deep team, is Campbellsville.
Makes it hard for broadcasters.
They'll play a minimum of 10 players here. And, of course, with this style where it's so frenetic, it's 94 feet at all times. You know, you can't just play 7 players like most coaches are comfortable with.
Here's Jones. Jones can't quite squeeze the orange. She's going to have to huck it across the court. It's going to go out of bounds off of Faith Lake again. So Maggie Jones having a little bit of issues here, holding on to that rock. Thomas More still surviving. We'll see if she can get it across this time. 3rd time's the charm, right, Brady?
Yes, indeed. Sarah Sutton, one of the substitutions, a Division I transfer out of Murray State. Her and Ashley McGeorge both checked in that last break.
Boom shakalaka from downtown is Courtney Hurst giving Thomas More the 12-9 lead.
Boy, Hurst was part of that big 4th quarter comeback Thomas More had the other night, where they were left for dead against Martin Methodist.
Now back out here to Sutton. Sutton giving over to McGeorge. McGeorge with Chrisman right in her face. Chrisman so tall, that's got to be tough to deal with on the perimeter. And Courtney Hurst gets credited with the block and maybe the takeaway. Indeed, Thomas More will hold on to it and have it again up by 3. Here's Sechrist weaving through the Tigers.
That ball was deflected while the defender's back was turned. That's just how they are. And look at this. Chrisman down low with a finish.
Assist will go to Summer Sechrist. A great job of unselfish basketball there for Thomas More. They lead by 5, 1:32 to play. Zoe Barth holds on to the rock, and she's going to get credited for the jump ball and gives it back for Thomas More.
Possession arrow favored the Saints right there, and a lucky break for Thomas More. Also out there, Lauren Lee, number 5. She's in the front of that press there for Campbellsville.
Here's Jones. Jones out to Barth. Barth, the cross-court pass, not able to be held on to by Sechrist. Sechrist saves it, and it's going to be picked up by the Tigers. They're off and running, crossing the timeline here with 1:13 to play in the quarter. Now Shepard. Soft coverage there by Hurst, giving a little bit of space for Shepard, and that was probably the right decision, as Shepard really wasn't in good position to knock that one in.
But that's what their offense is predicated on, that little give and go with the high post there, slash into the basket. Shepard just wasn't set for it.
Summer Sechrist can't quite return the favor. Chrisman was trying to pick up maybe an assist of her own and feed the guard in Sechrist, but Thomas More will get bailed out as that ball goes out of bounds, and they will keep it. 20 seconds to shoot, 52 here to play in the quarter.
Yeah, Mackenzie Schwarber just checked into the game for the first time for the Saints.
Here's Zoe Barth. Barth going through the lane. Are you serious, Zoe Barth? What did you eat this morning? I'd imagine it was the bowl of Wheaties as she goes through for a 7-point lead for TMU.
A lot of contact, Nate. How's that not an and one? But either way, we'll take the bucket.
13 seconds separate shot clock and game clock. And watch out, because Schwarber picked your pocket. Kenzie Schwarber goes coast to coast and puts TMU up 9.
Call the cops, Nate. That's a robbery right there.
Shot clock rendered irrelevant. Here is Shepard. Scratch that. Lee crosses the line for the Tigers. Now working inside. That's going to be another turnover. 9 seconds to shoot. Saints have a 3-1 advantage, and it's going to go in. Jones knocks it down. She's got 4 points, and Thomas More at the end of the quarter will lead the number 1 Campbellsville Tigers 20-9.
Outstanding first quarter if you're Thomas More. The yin and the yang, the half-court defense for Thomas More against the full-court defense press for Campbellsville. And in that first 10 minutes, it was all about the Saints.
But you can bet that Campbellsville team not done yet. They're going to be back, I'm sure, in full force in quarter number 2. We're going to step away here on the Saints Sports Network.
I love seeing these little faces for breakfast, and I want to have as many mornings like this as I can. So when we found cancer, I looked for the most advanced, innovative care anywhere. And I found it right here at the St. Elizabeth Cancer Center, where my screening, diagnosis, and treatment were tailored to me. Having a leading national cancer center so close to home meant I could keep my family even closer. I'm right here because St. Elizabeth is too.
Thomas More University offers the highest return on investment of any four-year institution in Kentucky. Who knew the best choice was so close to home? Make it more. Apply today at thomasmore.edu.
Back to it on the Saints Sports Network. Nate Metz, Brady Labor, get ready for quarter number 2. Brady, last time we got to chat about turnovers, it was pretty even, 4-4 apiece. Now Thomas More takes a big lead, and that turnover teeter-totter just swung down toward Campbellsville.
Yeah, those last 5 minutes, Thomas More forced 6 turnovers and only gave it up themselves 1 time. So definitely the difference between the 2 halves of that first quarter was Thomas More being opportunistic and taking the ball away from Campbellsville.
Still 30 minutes of basketball to play here in regulation for this one. So, folks, I'm sure that this game is far from over, both literally and figuratively.
You better believe that. This is just the beginning here. Ginger Colvin hasn't won all these games that she has, 375 to be exact, by just playing 10 minutes of basketball.
Thomas More will have that one after the missed shot by Rogers. Schwarber with a great job of saving that one. And it's going to be a jump ball call. It will stay with Thomas More.
Well, I mean, honestly, I thought she was going to call a timeout and did. And she kind of looked at her coach for the approval of calling a timeout. And that's just a situation as a veteran player. You just need to say, I'm sorry, coach, I wasted one for you. But I wanted to save the jump ball for later on down the line.
Here now is Chrisman. Chrisman, the open cut for Schwarber, and Schwarber can't quite finish. A blocking foul called on the Tigers. We'll see who that's on. If that's on Pedigo, that might be a problem.
Well,
Officials
that was a late whistle for one, Nate.
That will be on Bailey Pedigo.
Wow.
That's her third here in a matter of 10 minutes and 33 seconds of gameplay. That's unfortunate.
Well, I'm really surprised she's even out there, to be honest with you. A lot of coaches believe in the theory if you commit 2 fouls in the first half, you're going to sit for the rest of the way. And there's still nobody coming up to the scores table to replace her.
All right, utmost confidence in Pedigo's defense as
And,
Schwarber knocks in
what
both.
that tells me is that that's got to be recognized on the Thomas More side, and you attack her until she gets that 4th foul.
So Pedigo will have it. She'll give it off to Lexi Lake. Lake back now to Rogers. Rogers passing inside to Pritchett, then back out to Pedigo. A lot of great ball movement here for the Tigers. Rogers will be fouled, I believe, by Kenzie Schwarber.
Well, it wasn't much there, man. I'll be honest with you, but
Enough to draw the whistle.
it did draw the whistle, that's for sure.
As Pedigo will inbound for the Tigers. 20 seconds to shoot here for Campbellsville as she'll get it out to Savannah Gregory. And now Pedigo, again, 5.5 assists here on average through her first 11 games. Very impressive stuff here early. Here's Pedigo giving now back to Rogers, and now Gregory with 3 seconds to shoot. Pedigo barely gets it off. It does not touch the rim. I don't even know if it caught net there, and it will be a shot clock violation.
Yeah, it was underneath the rim, and actually it was a delayed reaction because as far as whether to call it a shot clock violation, one of the Campbellsville players were fighting for the rebound, and that's why they went ahead and blew the whistle.
Jones coughs that one up, and now the Tigers are looking to make him pay. Handing off now is Pritchett to Gregory. And now Gregory working on the freshman. A nice extra pass there, and Rogers can't quite hit. Now Rogers again from downtown. You can believe it, folks. That is another knockdown for Rogers. That's her second one from deep. You got to have an eye on her, Brady. She's too good of a shooter.
And that's a busted play on an offensive rebound, and she was just smart enough to find the open space out there and her teammate recognizing it.
Here's Jones to answer. That's no good. Rattles in and out like the California burger chain, and Schwarber picks up foul number 2.
And 2 quick ones called on Kenzie Schwarber, and now
most likely she'll check out.
4 of the starters are back, so it looks like they're going to have most of the starting unit out there. In fact, they'll have them all now that Chrisman departs.
So Thomas More's lead trimmed to 10 here. 8 minutes exactly to play in the quarter. Pedigo's got it. She'll give now over to Rogers. Sandy Rogers, 6 points in this one so far. She gives off to Lake. And now Gregory. Pritchett puts it on the deck, gives it to Rogers, who soars through the lane, and she can't hit. That's another jump ball call, and this one will stay with Campbellsville.
Wow. If you're Campbellsville, you got to be pulling your hair out right there. I mean, that's a gimme. That's a perfectly executed play, and Rogers just can't finish it. That little give and go, cut to the basket action. And Thomas Moore's done a good job sniffing that out, but that was a layup right there, Nate.
They're shooting 21% from the field. That's got to improve here if they're going to overcome this 10-point deficit. Here now is Pedigo. Pedigo back to Gregory. Gregory loses it. Then Pedigo has it knocked away, but it will stay with CU.
And just the looks on the Campbellsville faces right now are complete bewilderment right now. They're totally confused. They're totally uncomfortable thanks to this Thomas More defense.
A great inbound pass there from Pedigo to Rogers. Rogers has 8, and Pedigo picks up another assist.
Yeah, and that's a play you usually work out during your shoot-around there. Inbounds, out-of-bounds plays. As I thought Zoe Barker was going to fire one up there.
Now she had that heavy head fake. Here is now Hurst will have it from deep. Now close with 14 seconds to shoot. Will move her way in. Then back to Simon. Simon, an extra pass. That's going to be a kicked ball.
Yeah, it was a bounce pass drop off there, but a good job there by Pritchett to stick her foot out and make sure that they don't give up the easy layup.
So now the inbound pass, a quick one from close to Barth, and the two-guard special gets it done.
Inbounds, out-of-bounds plays, that's what we were talking about right there. Each team has run one to perfection there back-to-back.
Here now is Gregory. Gregory Receives that pass from Lake and now looks inside. That's Rogers around the bend. She's got it. She's got 10.
She had the mouse in the house right there. Close got stuck on her with a switch, and she was able to just go around the much smaller Close.
Now moving toward the basket is Simon, and Courtney Hurst misses from deep. I'm surprised it's not an over-the-back call on McNutt, and it's going to travel out of bounds and somehow stay with Thomas More.
Yeah, I tell you what, for the most part, these officials are letting these two teams play here today.
As Gregory and Lake check out.
Yeah, Shepard returns for Campbellsville.
As well as Faith Lake for her sister. Here now is Taylor Close. Giving now over to Zoe Barth. Then feeding to Simon. Simon through the lane. That's blocked away. Great defense by Pritchett.
Yeah, Pritchett bodied up Simon there. Was just too big and too strong.
Now Pedigo. Pedigo dribbling through a number of Saints. Gives it now into Faith Lake. Zoe Barth wanted the block, and she caught a lot of ball, but I think got a little bit of wrist. And that's going to put Lake on the line to shoot 2.
Yeah, Zoe Barth there just trying to stop the basket from being made there. That's her second foul, so we'll see what Jeff Hands' strategy is in dealing with a player who has 2 fouls here in the first half. Obviously, Campbellsville has Pedigo out there, and she's got 3.
So Lake knocks in the first free throw, cutting their deficit to 7 as Gregory looks to check back in. And she will knock it down. So 2 good free throws for Faith Lake as Pritchett takes a seat, gets a breather, and Gregory back into play. Savannah Gregory, her defense is just incredible, Brady. So much can be said about this obvious leader for the Tigers.
Well, that's the thing, man. That's the calling card of this team is defense. I mean, I know they score 87 points per contest, but so many of their points are generated from their defense, just like they have an opportunity to do right here.
Pedigo blocked by Simon.
Not a good choice there. She's in a double team there on a 3-on-2, and obviously could have found somebody open there and decided to call her own number, and luckily they'll get to keep the ball.
Pedigo now the inbound to Rogers. Pedigo hits baseline, goes up for it, and that's not going to fall. It's going to be picked up by McNutt. Gregory's there to draw the jump ball, and it will go in favor of Thomas More.
A lot of jump balls in this game here so far in the first half, Nate. A lot of people fighting for 50-50 balls is what that is indication of.
Here now is Courtney Hurst looking to break the press here for the Saints. As now Taylor Close will have it. Hurst swings now inside to Simon. Simon double teamed. It's knocked away by Shepard, and the Tigers have another forced turnover. Pedigo will feed over to Gregory, who's guarded by Close. 15 to shoot here for Campbellsville. Now Gregory, 7 to shoot. Gregory, a nice Euro step, and she knocks it down.
Great recognition. She saw Close come over to take the charge, and instead just goes right around her with an outstanding finish.
Here's Simon. Simon has that ball kicked away by Faith Lake, and that's going to bring us to immediate timeout. So everybody, it's a good one as we expected it would be. Don't go away. We'll be right back on the Saints Sports Network.
It's time to expect more from a graduate education, and there's no better place for it than Thomas More University. More flexibility for students working full-time, more online class offerings, more networking opportunities, and more return on your investment than any other school in Kentucky. At Thomas More, we have the graduate programs that will move you and your career forward. Be more, make it more at thomasmore.edu.
Back to it here on the Saints Sports Network. Hey, everybody, make sure that you check out ThomasMoreSaints.com. It's updated every day, make sure you stay connected with your Saints. Saints hold a 4-point lead currently over the number 1 ranked Campbellsville Tigers here in the second quarter. And Brady, this game's starting to get a little bit closer as we expected it would be.
Yeah, you knew that neither team was going away from the other one here in this one. I mean, it's a game of runs, and right now it's Campbellsville with the hot hand.
Here is Barth passing over to Brianna McNutt. McNutt, the mid-range 2. That's not going to fall for the Mason County native, and they're going to have to hustle back on defense as Pritchett has it and crosses the timeline for Les Tigres. Pritchett using that pivot foot extensively, and the third time around is the charm as she finds Savannah Gregory, and she makes it a 1-score ball game.
Again, backdoor cuts. That's what the Tigers do on offense, and Gregory gets herself open there, going through his screen, and Pritchett was just patient enough to let it happen.
Here's Barth giving to Sechrist, now back to Barth, and inside to Simon. Barth passing into McNutt. McNutt laying into her defender. Good job there by Faith Lake to let McNutt kind of fall her way toward the basket.
Yeah, she was expecting the contact is what happened there. Got the little okey-doke instead, a little Olay action. And a good move there on defense.
And for the lead is Gregory, and she misses that 3 from the top. Here's Zoe Barth leading the way for Thomas More with 7 points in this one. She got this game kicked off with a sweet little basket from beyond the arc, and since then it's been her and a relatively even scoring output for most of her teammates as McNutt misses another one.
That fourth quarter Zoe Barth played at Martin Methodist the other night was one that'll go into the annals. Had 4 of her career-high 6 steals happen in that fourth quarter alone, not to mention that behind-the-back pass that she threw to Summer Sechrist to pull the team within 1, and really the Saints didn't look back after that.
Here now is Shepard. Shepard giving over to Pritchett. 8 seconds to shoot for the Tigers. Looking inside for Faith Lake, and Faith Lake ties it up at 24.
Yeah, I think Courtney Hurst got confused there on a switch. Got stuck in no man's land, and that's what they do. They do a lot of back screens to free up the cutters for those layups, and then, of course, they throw that press on you after a made basket and steal it away from you.
Here's Rogers, the 3 for the lead, not going to fall, and Sechrist comes away with the rebound.
Thomas More has not scored in what seems like forever here. They really need to get a bucket.
Here's McNutt passing back to Barth. It's going to be a
Lazy
foul called
pass
on Zoe Barth.
That's a lazy pass there by McNutt. She's got to know better than that. They're always going to be in the passing lanes when you ball too much air underneath your passes like that. That's a senior making the mistake.
And we're going to see a couple of changes here for Campbellsville. Sarah Sutton checking in, as well as Lexi Lake. And for Thomas More, we're going to see Mackenzie Schwarber. We're going to see Alexa Chrisman. And we've got Maggie Jones checking back in. Courtney Hurst and Summer Sechrist stay out on the floor.
Yeah, Kenzie has 2 fouls on her. Got to watch out for that. Of course, Barth does as well, but she just checked out. Still amazed that Pettigrew, who's not out there on the floor right now, has survived with those 3 fouls for Campbellsville.
So getting that ball, and with a cloud of dust, I think, forming around half court, it's going to be another jump ball call. Great hustle there by Alexa Chrisman.
6'2", getting on the floor and getting that 50-50 ball. That's impressive there.
So Saints will stay on defense. 1:50 to play here in quarter number 2. It's been pretty much all Campbellsville here in the second quarter. As Lexi Lake will pass over to Shepard. Now Savannah Gregory. Last time the Saints have scored, Brady, is at the 7:05 mark here in the second.
Seems like it's been longer than that, Nate. I'm starting to wonder if they've ever scored at all here in this second quarter.
Not much. Here now is Lexi Lake kicking back to Gregory, and now it's Shepard. Shepard has it knocked away by Schwarber. Another jump ball call, and this time it's going back in favor of Thomas More. And Brady going back to not just that hustle play, but by the one from Alexa Chrisman. Those kind of things add up as this game goes on.
Right, and that's the thing. All these balls keep getting knocked away on the ground to begin with to create the 50-50 opportunity. And then after that, it's just getting on the ground and just, it's that want to. How bad do you want to get to that ball? That's something you can't coach.
Here now is Hurst. Courtney Hurst giving to Chrisman. Chrisman going up strong. She can't hit. Schwarber with the offensive rebound. And Kenzie Schwarber will head to the line for not 1, but 2 free throws.
Chrisman, I don't know if she was expecting that pass. There was a lot of heat on it. It took her an extra second or two to gather herself, and by that time, the defender, Rogers, was able to knock it away from her. But there's Kenzie Schwarber tying her shoe right there to retrieve it and get fouled. Now, all of a sudden, for the first time, I think this gym has finally gotten quiet.
And it will probably stay a little quiet here as she misses that first free throw.
And that drought continues, a 6-minute drought for Thomas More right now. They've only scored 4, and it's still just 4 points in the entire quarter as Schwarber misses both of them.
Kenzie Schwarber, free throw's not her best stat here as she shoots at about a 56% clip, and then from way downtown was Lake missing that three-pointer. Pritchett puts the air brake on and gives it to Gregory. Gregory can't take the lead, and Schwarber will give it now up to Hurst. So Hurst running through the Tigers here and gives to Chrisman. Chrisman has that knocked away by Pritchett, but Pritchett's going to pick up her second foul, I believe, of this game. Scratch it. That will be her third foul of this game. So
That's
another
2.
thing to watch for.
And so another player with 3 fouls checks into the game for Campbellsville.
So Pedigo will come back in, and Zoe Barth will check in for Thomas More as Maggie Jones exits, and then Sutton will come back in for Pritchett.
Actually, that's McGeorge.
Yes,
And Pritchett will go out, but yeah, still Pedigo out there, especially on defense, to bring a player into the game to defend with 3 fouls is a risky proposition. Look at Summer Seacrest trying to make it a cone drill, but just can't finish. And that's just been indicative of this entire second quarter.
She was moving a little too quickly, I think, there for her own good, it seemed. Score still tied at 24 seconds left here in the half. Here's Gregory. Gregory bouncing to Pedigo. Pedigo swinging over. It's going to be poked away by Summer Seacrest. It stays here. Shot clock and game clock are separated by about 1.2 seconds, I should say. So not a lot of time for any kind of second efforts if indeed Thomas More can get the ball back. Here's McGeorge giving off now to Pedigo. Pedigo eyes the shot clock. Passing now into McGeorge. Back to Rogers. Rogers, not a lot of time for it. Pedigo lays it up from the free throw line, and it's good at the end of the half. So at the end of 20 minutes of regulation, our score is Thomas More 24, Campbellsville 26.
How recently did you play last? And after, a long layoff, Campbellsville looks like they're finally getting back into a solid routine and a solid groove here.
Here now is Pritchett to start it off for the Tigers. It's going to be knocked away by Courtney Hurst, who will stay with Campbellsville. Brady, a lot of teams are extremely nervous of taking on a Campbellsville Tiger opponent when they're coming out of a locker room, right? Because they have all that energy. They can press you a little tighter and things like that. Do you think that's going to have maybe a little bit of legs here, no pun intended, here in this second half?
I'm not really sure. I know Campbellsville didn't spend much time at all in that locker room during halftime as Pedigo misses that shot. And Thomas More was in there quite a bit, so obviously they were making what seemed like more adjustments if you just gauge it on that fact alone.
See if Thomas More can get some ball movement going here, a little more energy here on offense as that ball goes out of bounds off Brianna McNutt. And they're going to have a discussion here as I think 2 referees are disagreeing of where that is going. So we'll stay with Thomas More after the deliberation. And TMU will still have it. 15 seconds to shoot as Zoe Barth will look to inbound. Here now is Taylor Close. Close back to Barth. Barth trying to feed inside to McNutt, but just the long arm of Sammy Rogers knocked it away.
Bounce pass would have worked much better right there. Instead, she tried to have that come in hot and not through 2 defenders with long arms like that.
Here's Pedigo bouncing back to Pritchett. Now over to Lake. It hits the deck, and it's going to be Emily Simon coming up with it. And another jump ball call. This one will go in favor of Thomas More. So our officials will make sure that is the case. So the Saints,
they're just in
force a turnover.
Sorry, Nate, but
no,
Campbellsville is in every passing lane. They knock away every stray ball, and that's why a lot of times these 50-50 balls are created, and you just got to be able to get your knees skinned up and get on the ground as Close misses the free throw line jumper. to go get that loose ball because it seems like there's been a million of them here tonight.
Thomas More has not scored a field goal in 6 minutes of gameplay.
He only scored 4 points in that whole second quarter.
Here now is Pritchett. Pritchett getting her offensive rebound, and we've got a timeout called from the Campbellsville bench.
Yeah,
so
a great timeout called there. She was triple teamed underneath the basket, inside the painted area. That had 3 seconds written all over it, and yet another turnover.
They say smoke them if you got them. So Brady and I'll take a
Really?
smoke break of our own, and we will head to our timeout here on the Saints Sports Network.
It's time to expect more from a graduate education. And there's no better place for it than Thomas More University. More flexibility for students working full-time. More online class offerings. More networking opportunities. And more return on your investment than any other school in Kentucky. At Thomas More, we have the graduate programs that will move you and your career forward. Be more, make it more at thomasmore.edu.
Back to it here on the Saints Sports Network. Disclaimer, don't smoke, everybody. It's not cool. Here now is Pedigo passing out to Lake for three. That's good. Lake is heating up from downtown after she knocks in that bucket from 22 feet away.
I mean, that was all Ginger Colvin right there, drawing up a play, coming out of a timeout, and her team actually executing it.
Here now is Simon giving over to Zoe Barth. Barth kicking back over to close. Now here's McNutt from three. That's not going to fall. Rebound goes to Emily Simon, and Thomas More finally gets an offensive rebound. But that time it's going to be taken away by Savannah Gregory. One more closer to the school record.
Yeah, that trap there. Using the sideline as an extra defender, and Simon really didn't have a chance there.
Here now is Pritchett. A nice pass for Gregory, but it's not going to fall. And Close goes up amongst the trees and pulls that one away. Close gives now over to Zoe Barth. That ball nearly stolen from Pritchett. Here's Simon, the nice move underneath.
Oh!
And finally, what seems it has been eons since Thomas More has scored last. They get the bucket to fall. Good job there by Emily Simon taking what was given to her.
Yeah, nice Euro step there. Going with the left hand to finish. And yeah, boy, that was the first basket in what seems like forever for Thomas More. Hopefully that can build some confidence.
Here's Pritchett. That ball nearly poked away. Gives it now back to Pedigo. And Pedigo will throw it out of bounds. So now maybe a little momentum here as the Thomas More faithful in the Conner Convocation Center make a little noise. Here with 6:56 remaining in quarter number 3.
They're going to set up the press here. Looks like Hurst going to dribble through it. And see, that's a lot of times coaches don't want you to dribble through a press. They want you to pass through it. An example why.
Thomas More will head back on defense after that turnover. You know, that's a thing that Campbellsville will do quite a bit. They use that mid-court line, and of course Sammy sideline there over on the edge as an extra defender.
No doubt about it. Plus, too, they do a good job of getting into them passing lanes as well. So it's really tough to go up against that press.
Here's Gregory giving to Pedigo. Pedigo guarded by McNutt. Not much room to work, but she'll find instead Rogers and Rogers. A little Mike and drill action headed from one side to another and knocking it in.
Simon gave the baseline and Rogers just took it. Unacceptable there.
Here's Barth. Barth now back to Simon. Saints down by 5, and they're going to call a quick foul there on Savannah Gregory. On Gregory, that will be her second foul here of the game. So not too much immediate danger for her in that category. Although, Brady, we have talked a little bit about both Pritchett and Pedigo, both with 3 so far in this one.
Now we got a little equipment malfunction as somebody tying their shoes there for Campbellsville. They'll let that get started, and now we're going to see, in the meantime, Shepard return along with one of the Lake girls. That's Faith Lake coming in. Her sister Lexi will go out, and so will Gregory. We haven't had a chance to talk too much about Madison Shepard and her background. I'm sure a lot of local basketball fans in the state of Kentucky remember that name.
Taylor Close will head to the line for two.
Yeah, Close will go to the free throw line. But of course, Madison Shepard is the daughter of Jeff Shepard and Stacy Reed, two All-American basketball players at the University of Kentucky. Jeff Shepard, of course, was the most valuable player of the 1998 Final Four. But all the pub right now is going to her little brother Reed, just a sophomore, and he has been lighting it up so far for North Laurel High School. He had a triple-double last weekend, coming off a game where he had scored 50 points in a contest, and he is being recruited by most Power 5 schools right now. Just a sophomore.
That's a free throw missed for Close, but an offensive board for Simon. Here's now Thomas More looks to make him pay. Here's Courtney Hurst. Hurst has knocked one in from deep. Hasn't had a lot of opportunities. Here is Simon, has it inside. Back now out to Close, and the skip pass over to Zoe Barth. Barth, 3 seconds to shoot, needs to put it up. She will indeed. It's going to go off the rim. A quick rebound by McNutt, and she's in there to put it away, picking up the loose chain.
Great job by McNutt to not quit on that ball. She saw that it grazed off the rim and was able to be there and finish with the stick back.
2-point game here as Rogers gets it inside. A nice pass and finish.
Well, again, she's getting behind the defense right there. You always got to have somebody, you always got to keep your person between you and the basket. And right now, Thomas More's defense has not been doing that. But it's by design. They set those back screens most of the time, do Campbellsville. And right there, you know, it's just like a receiver getting behind the defensive back.
Jeff Hands will call for a substitution as McNutt gets out and Schwarber comes in. Saints down by 4 right now as we reach near the halfway mark in this third quarter.
That's exactly what Jeff Hands is talking about. That last defensive stand there, or lack thereof, where I guess it was McNutt was the guilty party of letting Rogers get behind the defense. And there it just happened again. This time it's Simon.
So Simon gives up 2 more points for the Saints' effort. Good job by Rogers, and she's definitely found the hole in the defense here as Hurst has it, and now here's Barth dropping it, and Thomas More needs to rein it back in sooner rather than later for their cause.
They're getting sped up is what's happening, and Campbell's was doing a great job of making Thomas More uncomfortable in the offensive set.
Here now is Rogers. Rogers facing up Simon, giving now back to Pedigo. Over now to Faith Lake. Lake over to Rogers for 3, and it's no good. It's going to go off of Taylor Close. No, apparently went off of Savannah Gregory.
Gregory reached in and tapped it away. Tried to get it to a teammate that was there in the corner. Instead it goes out of bounds, and it looks like that'll lead us to our media break, Nate.
Indeed it will, Brady. We'll be back, folks, after a word from our sponsor.
I love seeing these little faces for breakfast, and I want to have as many mornings like this as I can. So when we found cancer, I looked for the most advanced, innovative care anywhere. And I found it right here at the St. Elizabeth Cancer Center, where my screening, diagnosis, and treatment were tailored to me. Having a leading national cancer center so close to home meant I could keep my family even closer. I'm right here because St. Elizabeth is too.
Thomas More trails by 6 here, 4:12 remaining in the third quarter on this monumental evening in the Connor Convocation Center on a Monday night. Don't have big games off and on Mondays, but during a COVID season, you play when you're able.
Well, this was a makeup game, actually, from earlier in the season. I can't remember which team was paused at the time, but it did happen. But that's just the kind of year it's got to be. You just got to be available to play a game when both teams aren't going through a protocol.
Here's Hurst for 3. That's good. Courtney Hurst gets it done, and not a moment too soon for the Crestview Hills faithful.
Yeah, they needed that very bad, did Thomas More and Hurst. Usually a rhythm shooter there. She was able to step into one there.
And another jump ball call, so Thomas More forces that one. It will stay with the Tigers.
That was not on a 50-50 ball. That was just a reach in, getting both hands on the ball by Hurst.
Courtney Hurst
forcing the tie up.
able to knock that one in. Brady right now, she's 2 of 3 from downtown. And getting her going is going to be big for Thomas More to take a lead here in this one. Here's Pedigo, her team up by 3, 14 seconds to shoot. Working on Taylor Close. 2 of the craftier point guards here in the Mid-South going at it. It's been fun to watch here today. Here's Gregory feeding into Rogers. Rogers can't get over Hurst, and Chrisman comes down with the rebound.
Yeah, that's what you need out of Chrisman is to crash the boards. That's just her first rebound of the game.
Here's Schwarber. Schwarber has it poked away. It's going to be a foul called on Shepard. Not a lot of fouls called in this third quarter so far. That's the third called on the Tigers. Madison Shepard incurring her first foul there, so no problems for her so far. Here's Close now to inbound it. It's a 1-score game, and she's going to lob it up for Chrisman. Chrisman puts it on the deck, high off the glass, and it's a 1-point ball game after the D1 transfer finishes inside.
Yeah, great job there by Chrisman. I want to congratulate her brother, Drew Chrisman, who put out on Twitter, he's got an official invite to the NBA Scouting Combine as a punter, by the way. Of course, he is a graduate of Ohio State University. Corey Blackson's favorite team.
That's right.
And James Russell.
Yeah, I know we got a lot of Buckeyes on our
James
production
Russell was
staff
trying
here.
to pass off on me what a great quarterback the fella Haskins is, and whether he's going to be the one to replace Roethlisberger in Pittsburgh.
Well, we'll talk about more of that maybe later.
And I told him unlikely.
So Thomas More forces that turnover, and they will regain possession here, down by 1, as Pritchett will check in and Sammy Rogers will check out. Lexi Lake will check in for Savannah Gregory. No, take that back. It's going to be Shepard that checks out. And so Campbellsville putting on their ever so tight of a press. Close has it, gets around Pedigo. And she's looking to give her team a 1-point lead, and she's got it right there. The scoop and score.
A little coast-to-coast action there by Taylor Close, and that's part of her game right there, and hopefully that builds her confidence. She's had a really tough 3-game stretch here.
Saints are marching, leading now by 1. 2:24 remaining in this quarter. Here's Pedigo for the lead. That's not going to fall. And Chrisman soaring over the Tigers, pulls in the rebound, and Thomas Moore's got the ball and the lead.
Yeah, it's exactly what Thomas More needs is Chrisman to be strong on the boards like she's been these last few trips.
Zoe Barth finds Schwarber. Schwarber forces it back out to Close. The stop and pop shot's good for Taylor Close. And the NKU transfer puts her team not just up by 1, but now 3.
Yeah, nice job there by Close. Getting in the middle of traffic. Not settling for a 3-point shot.
Here now is Gregory out to Lake for the tie. That's no good. Rebound goes to Taylor Close. The mouse in the house is playing with her hair on fire, Brady. She is doing a wonderful job for TMU.
We talked about Zoe Barth being a fourth-quarter player, but Close clutch in the late game, and now Chrisman misses that one. But a great feed there by Close.
Here now is Pedigo. 1 minute, 24 seconds to play here in quarter number 3. Now Pritchett. Pritchett having that ball knocked away. It's on the deck, a loose ball. It will be picked up and going back in favor of Thomas More after another 50-50 call, Brady. TMU doing everything and a little bit more to get themselves not only back into the game, but a 3-point lead.
Well, that was all forced by the defense of Alexa Chrisman, who walled up there. Pritchard had nowhere to go, and when she tried to reverse her angle, the help defender comes and knocks the ball away and causes the tie-up.
Here's Courtney Hurst now, finding Schwarber in the middle. Schwarber's got to watch out. Gregory looking for the Campbellsville record-tying steal. The floater no good from Close. Close somehow comes away with the board. It's going to be a jump ball going back in favor of the Tigers.
Taylor Close right now is just not wanting to let her team lose at all. These last 2 or 3 minutes of Taylor Close is some of the best in her young Thomas More career right now.
And against a number 1 opponent, Brady, on your own home court, I would say it's coming at a pretty good time. Here now is Pedigo. Over to Lake. Lexi Lake has it, receives a screen from Pritchard. Pedigo to Pritchett. Pritchett in the lane. That's going to be a foul called on Chrisman, her first of the game. We're going to see a couple substitutions here, but Pritchett's going to go to the line for 2 free throws.
Yeah, Chrisman just swung the hammer down when she could have just kept those long arms up in the air. Maybe a sign of fatigue there by Chrisman, who hasn't played a whole lot of basketball, especially in game conditions here. It was a 1.5 year layoff for her when she became eligible after the first of the year. This is just her 4th game back, too.
Free throw good for Pritchett, so it's a 2-point ball game. 41 seconds remaining here in the quarter. Brady, you think you go 2 for 1 here with 11 seconds separating the shot clock and game clock after this free throw?
Well, you can try to, but I mean, Campbellsville defense won't probably dictate that. They could easily get a 2 for 1 because of how good they are of turning people over.
Here's Hurst now inside to Chrisman. Chrisman, the bounce pass to McNutt. Now Barth looking to feed to Chrisman inside, guarded by a slightly shorter Pritchett. Chrisman through the lane. Chrisman good for 2.
Boy, I tell you what, that's a dominant drop step move there by Alexa Chrisman. And right now, she's having a great stretch here. It's been Chrisman and Close here in this 3rd quarter to help give Thomas More this lead.
Here now, outside is Lake, passing over to Shepard. Now Pritchett on the way, no good. Rebound to Schwarber. And at the end of the 3rd quarter, the score is Thomas More 40, Campbellsville 36. Well, everybody, it's come down to this. 10 more minutes of regulation. You know you don't want to miss it. Stay tuned. We'll be back on the Saints Sports Network.
Your work and your life are busy, but that shouldn't stop you from achieving more. And there's no better way than with an accelerated degree program from Thomas More University. More flexibility for students working full-time, more online class offerings, more accepted transfer credits, and more return on your investment than any other school in Kentucky. At Thomas More, our accelerated programs help you get more out of your busy life. Be more, make it more at thomasmore.edu.
Back to it here for the final quarter of regulation in the Connor Convocation Center on this Monday night. Hi, everybody. 40-36 if you're just tuning in. And if you've been watching this entire game, Brady, people have been traded to a very good matchup. It's been Thomas More in the first, Campbellsville in the second, Thomas More in the third, and now who's going to win here in the fourth? The next 10 will decide here today.
Well, and for Thomas More, it's really the last part of that 3rd quarter that they took over. Campbellsville at the media break had a 9-5 advantage in the quarter, and Thomas More since then went on an 11-1 run there thanks to Taylor Close and Alexa Chrisman. Chrisman had 4 points, 3 rebounds, and a block during that stretch, and Taylor Close, I believe it was 6 points for her, make that all 5 of her points during that stretch as well.
Here's Chrisman, the give and go to Barth. Barth's going to be fouled. A little push from behind from Gregory, and Thomas More will have their point guard and points per game leader heading to the free throw line for 2.
And this is usually when Zoe Barth really shines, and that's in the 4th quarter. We've seen it so many times, but, you know, no other time can you really say it other than that Martin Methodist game on Saturday where she had those 4 steals.
As Barth makes the first of 2.
Yeah, just an incredible performance. And we've said it many times, you know, 4th quarter is when the money players come out, and Zoe Barth has been money throughout her entire career here at Thomas More and at Highlands, for that matter, in high school.
So Saints lead by 6 after both of those free throws go through for Barth. Also, Campbellsville fans, Gregory, that's just her 3rd foul, so a little space for her. Here now as she has it outside. Gregory now passes to Rogers. The triple, no good off back iron, and it's rebounded by Brianna McNutt. McNutt going to be called for the travel, and the senior, a wry grin from number 22 as she knows she gave one up.
Nate, they set their press up on a missed shot. Not many teams are able to do that, but that's how organized they are in their system.
Here now is Pritchett outside. Pritchett gives to Pedigo, and Pedigo has that pass nearly fumbled away, and
again, a timeout called over there.
so a timeout will be called by Coach Colvin, and we will take a full break
She
here.
has saved her teams from turnovers there. Last 30-second timeout that time.
Last time we had a full timeout like that, they scored a 3. We'll see what happens next here on the Saints Sports Network.
I discovered my true passion here. My shoulder hasn't been the same since. Years of pitching can really mess up your joints. I knew I needed to do something, but didn't consider St. Elizabeth until I learned they were the first to offer a world-famous shoulder replacement surgery. It meant less pain, less downtime, and less rehab. Today, thanks to St. Elizabeth, batters still fear me on the mound. I'm right here, because St. Elizabeth is too.
It's time to expect more from a graduate education. And there's no better place for it than Thomas More University. More flexibility for students working full-time. More online class offerings. More networking opportunities. And more return on your investment than any other school in Kentucky. At Thomas More, we have the graduate programs that will move you and your career forward. Be more, make it more at thomasmore.edu.
Saints and Tigers back at it here in the fourth quarter. 9:22 here to play as Bailey Pedigo will check in. Will pass in for the Tigers. Rogers has it, gives it back to her point guard. Bree McNutt playing the defense there at the top. Here is Pritchett looking for Gregory. Can't find her, cutting to the basket. It's going to be a Pedigo pass over to Pritchett, and an open 3 knocked down by Lexi Lake.
Well, they had 3 players surround the ball there, and Lake leaked open and was wide open. Nobody can come over there to contest that shot.
Thomas More breaks the press. Courtney Hurst finishes in transition.
Courtney Hurst just attacking the rim in transition. And Thomas More right now trying to get a stop.
Here's Pedigo. Saints lead by 5. Now Rogers, 16 for her today, make it 19.
Oh, wow, the lefty going from long range has been an outstanding contribution here today.
Here's Schwarber. 6 straight points coming from beyond the arc for the Tigers, and they might have some more as Gregory picks up the steal, which should be a record-tying steal for the Tigers, and they're going to say that Lake's foot was on the line, so Thomas More will catch a break there.
Big break for Thomas More because Kenzie Schwarber dribbled right into a trap and had nowhere to go and no kind of help to get her out of it, and then turning it right back over was Lake.
Here's Schwarber passing over to Zoe Barth. Barth against Gregory. Gives now over to Hurst. Taylor Close will check in at the next dead ball. Schwarber now guarded by Pedigo. Schwarber in the lane going through, no good. Rebound goes to Rogers, her 9th here of the game.
Yeah, Rogers did a good job of sealing off Chrisman.
And the Saints catch a break there as Lake misses that 3-pointer. And a timeout will be called by Coach Jeff Hand. So the Saints will breathe a little easier, a 30-second timeout, so we'll stay here. Thomas More up by 6 now. Campbellsville just down by 2. Brady, we saw the threes fall for Campbellsville here after that timeout from Coach Hy Colvin, and she is so talented, of course. There's no reason why they couldn't come back from being down 6 and momentum on Thomas More's side on the road. They're just that good of a team.
Well, Coach Colvin learned from the master, Donna Wise, who she played for at Campbellsville. You know, it's hard to believe it. They've only had 2 coaches in the history of this storied program, starting with Donna Wise and then the former Ginger High, who was a great player for her, now Ginger Colvin. And she has really done an outstanding job to carry on the legacy of Campbellsville women's basketball.
Here's Emily Simon passing into Brianna McNutt. It's caught by McNutt, tipped away by Rogers. Rogers will be fouled. They're going to call it on Simon. And so Rogers will head to the free throw line for 2.
Yeah, I mean, Thomas More right now really struggling with this trapping press. And there they were going backwards. Need to go look forward, try to get it across the timeline, but I know it's easier said than done when all that pressure is being applied.
So Rogers now with a chance to tie it up for the number 1 ranked Campbellsville Tigers. Left-handed free throw is no good, a little short. So Thomas More will at least hold on to a 1-point lead after this free throw. Left-handed free throw on the way. It is also no good. Barth comes away with it. Now Thomas More might be able to march down the court and score another. We'll see. Here now is Taylor Close. Over to Zoe Barth now. Barth swings it back to Close. Close looks off the 3, drives inside, has Gregory rip it away, and she gets it off to Pritchett. Now Pedigo. Pedigo thought she had an open target, ended up holding back, and now gives to Pritchett. Pritchett, a nice backdoor cut there, and Lexi Lake ties it up at 44.
That's what they're all about in the half-court set, is those backdoor cuts, and if that's not there, shooting open three-point shots.
Here now is Barth in transition, throws it wildly behind her, and it's going to go out of bounds. Saints got bailed out on that one.
Huge break there. Zoe Barth a little bit out of control right there.
And we've got a timeout on the floor. It will be of the 30-second variety called by Thomas Moore's bench. So TMU right now tied up at 44. Momentum has swung to the side of the Tigers. And Brady, their conditioning and all of those, I'm sure, drills that Coach Colvin puts them through are showing out here. It looks like they've still got all that energy they had in that first quarter.
Well, and it's tough, too, coming out of a pause, where you're having to replicate that, on a basis where you had to sit out for however many days they had to sit out while they weren't playing games. Of course, on the other side, how tough is that for a team to go against that? How they replicate that in defense to game plan for it, especially with just one-day practice.
So Thomas More and the Tigers knotted up at 44, 6:48 left to play. Brady, something's got to give for Thomas More offensively. They were doing so well when Close was able to attack the basket. Maybe they'll try that again here.
Yeah, they seem to have gone away from that, actually, Nate.
Here's Sechrist. Sechrist driving baseline, gives it to Simon. Simon around Pedigo. Simon can't finish. It's going to be a rebound for Gregory, and the Tigers looking to retake the lead.
Close was wide open in the corner. No one even looked in her direction there. I know Simon thought she had the easier shot.
And again for the lead would have been Lake, but she stepped back out of bounds. Maybe sometime.
You just got to know where you're at on the floor, and it's just amazing that players still do that.
And, of course, being on the road can't help that necessarily.
The basketball court's measured the same in every gym in America, Nate. That's not an excuse.
Here now is Hurst. Hurst now over to Barth for the lead. It's no good. Rebound goes to Sechrist. Sechrist looking for the lead, and she's going to have to earn it from the free throw line.
Yeah, she got a little bit too deep there, but got bailed out with the foul, and I think that one is on Rogers.
It will be just her first foul of this game, so no trouble there as Gregory and Lake will check out. I should say Lexi Lake will check out as Faith Lake and Madison Shepard will check in.
Got Chrisman back in there for Thomas More after getting a quick breather, and that's when Thomas More had its best success there in the tail end of that third quarter, with Chrisman and Close both out there and being effective.
Sechrist gives Thomas More the lead back, 45-44.
Now they're going to get Chrisman back to be more. Yeah, they're going to get her out of the way there is what they're doing.
Here now is Sechrist. Her second free throw is no good. Rolls off and is rebounded by Shepard.
They wanted Chrisman on the back end of this press here as they're setting it up on their own missed free throw. But look at that. Lake got behind her anyway.
And a bucket is good from Shepard. Great job by the Tigers.
That's not why Chrisman was back there. She should have been further back to be that free safety to make sure that everybody stays in front of you. Not good execution there.
Here's Barth now. Saints trail by 1. Sechrist feeds into Chrisman. Chrisman, so strong, pure power, gives him the lead.
Well, I would have called for an and one if I was on the Thomas More bench, but at least Chrisman was able to finish there, and she's being dominant when she's able to get the ball down low and in stride.
Now running inside is Shepard, and Shepard off the glass is good, Brady. The bank's open after 5 p.m. apparently on a Monday afternoon.
Absolutely, and both teams right now are trading buckets, so we'd like to see Thomas More get a stop on the defensive end.
Here's Barth now. Over to Sechrist. Sechrist right racing through the lane. The extra pass is good. Chrisman again on the low block.
They don't have an answer for Chrisman right now. They're just feeding the post, and they can't stop it.
That's Sechrist's 4th assist of the game. Here's Pedigo. Pedigo giving to Faith Lake. Lake to Rogers. Rogers, the turnaround jumper is good. Lead trading back and forth like two heavyweight prize fighters.
I tell you what, this is worth the price of admission right here, this fourth quarter. The way they're going back and forth, back and forth.
Here's Courtney Hurst, guarded tightly by Madison Shepard. Finds Zoe Barth. The skip pass over to Close. Close trying to find Chrisman. Chrisman looking for the one-on-one opportunity. Now back out to Close for the 3 in the lead. Money in the bank for Taylor Close. Thomas More leads by 2.
Great job of Chrisman not forcing the action. She saw that she was stopped. Close was open, and the quick rise and fire.
Here now is Lake. Lake looking to answer right back. Here's Pritchett over to Shepard. Shepard now back to Rogers for the lead. No good. Rebound goes to Sechrist, and Zoe Barth has the ball and a 2-point lead for TMU. 3:45 to play here in regulation.
And of course, they're going to walk this up because they weren't being trapped there. And look at Hurst, wide open.
Hurst misses
short.
that one.
Yeah, a little bit more of a line drive shot there by Hurst. Got to get a stop here if you're Thomas More, Nate.
Here's Pedigo. Bailey Pedigo guarded by Taylor Close. Pedigo feeding into Rogers. Foul called on either Chrisman or it will be actually on Hurst.
They walled up on her. They put 3 people around her. But they reach in to commit the foul, though, does Thomas More. Still plenty of fouls to give before you're in the bonus here in the quarter.
And Coach Colvin will send out Shepard and Faith Lake as Lexi Lake and Gregory have checked back in. And that's a missed baseline jumper for Sammy Rogers. Here now is Hurst. Courtney Hurst looking for some space against Gregory. Back out to Hurst. The extra pass to Close for the 3. No good. Rebound to Summer Sechrist. Sechrist up. Sechrist fouled, and she'll head to the free throw line.
Boy, great weak side rebound there by Sechrist, and then goes and attacks and draws the foul.
So Summer Sechrist will head to the free throw line. He's had a couple of free throws already here in this fourth quarter. She makes the first of 2 here. Thomas More now leads by 3. 3 minutes remaining. Thomas More looking to upset the #1 team in the nation.
Got a long way to go, however.
Sechrist good on both. Pure free throws from the sophomore. Here's Pedigo now. Pedigo, such a fearless leader for this squad. As now Rogers will work on Sechrist. It's poked away, and Taylor Close will put it on the deck. Picked up by Pritchett, and now Pedigo will have it.
Yeah, Close just didn't have it secured. And then a turnover by Lake.
So a costly mistake for the Tigers as they have a few substitutions. Shepard and Faith Lake check in, and it will be Lexi Lake and Pritchett that check out. Chrisman will receive the inbound pass.
She's got to hand it off to somebody.
And Sechrist looking to go all the way around.
Oh, wow.
Sechrist out. Sechrist in. Great job by Summer to give Thomas More a 6-point lead.
Well, they just kept expecting her to dish it off. Instead, Sechrist calls her own number and finishes strong at the rack.
Now inside is Rogers. She can't finish. Zoe Barth comes away with the rebound, and Rogers gets docked for her 2nd foul of the day.
Right now, it's who wants it more. And right now, that was Zoe Barth who said, I want that ball more than you do.
Checking into the game is Pritchett. So Courtney Pritchett in, as well as Lexi Lake. So both Lakes will be out on the floor. Pedigo will check out, as Summer Sechrist will inbound for Thomas More. Close gets it back to Sechrist. Close looking to bring it across the free throw line, or excuse me, the half-court line. Chrisman picks up the ball and now gives out to Hurst.
There's a great idea there by Bart to get it into Chrisman, but they got in that passing lane and deflected it.
Under 2 now to play. Here's Close. Close working inside. Open on the baseline is Sechrist, and she's good for another.
It's the hesitation dribble for Close. She draws the defenders and then dumps it off to the wide-open Sechrist for the layup.
And a timeout called from the Campbellsville bench. It will be of the 32nd. No, a full timeout. So that means we get to take a break, folks. Saints have marched out to an 8-point lead. Don't go away. The final 2 minutes remain here on the Saints Sports Network.
Thomas More University offers the highest return on investment of any four-year institution in Kentucky. Who knew the best choice was so close to home? Make it more. Apply today at thomasmore.edu.
In the 1894 classic by Rudyard Kipling, The Jungle Book, it was written that the tiger, the king of the jungle, is only afraid of man's fire and man's gun. And the next minute and 41 seconds will determine if we can add Thomas More to that list. 8-point lead for TMU.
So you knew about that, but you've never watched Hoosiers.
I am.
All right, that explains everything right there, Nate.
Here now is Lexi Lake working inside, high off the glass, no good. And Summer Sechrist comes away with another rebound.
Shout out to Devin Beasley, who put you on task for that. Of course, she's actually in the building here tonight because she had to put up with that whole dissertation about you not ever watching Hoosiers and not really understanding why.
Taylor Close looking to put Pedigo on ice skates. It gets knocked out of bounds, so the Tigers are back in business with the basketball and 76 seconds remaining in regulation.
What's the other one? Remember the Titans?
Remember the Titans? Those are two
movies
I've
maybe
not seen.
Varsity Blues or any of that stuff. All right, Nate. This game is too important to be filibustering about those kind of things. We'll get you another time.
Here now is Gregory. Gregory over to Lake for 3. That's no good, but online it's going to be pulled in by Taylor Close. Foul will be called, I believe, on the Campbellsville point guard in Bailey Pedigo. Take that back. That, I believe, will be on Rogers.
Boy, Rogers has committed 3 quick fouls here. Now she has 4 total.
And it will put Taylor Close on the free throw line, considering that's the 5th foul of the quarter for the Tigers.
That's right. It's still Thomas More still has a couple of fouls to give before Campbellsville would be forced to go to the line in a non-shooting situation, of course. Right now, Thomas More with the 8-point lead and at the free throw line.
Close first free throw, good. 9-point lead for Thomas More.
Boy, if they got this to be a 3-possession game with 1:03 left to go. Of course, though, with the way that Campbellsville presses, they can make up deficits pretty quickly.
Here's Shepard. After the second missed free throw, it's going to be a 9-point lead for Thomas More. Here's Lake, giving now back to Madison Shepard. Shepard in the lane, Shepard off the glass, and good for 2. Brady, you start fouling here?
I don't think so. I think they're trying to force a steal.
That's going to be a foul called on Madison Shepard.
I think in the forecourt, you force a steal, and then once they get across the timeline, anything goes.
So Taylor Close, who has been a huge factor here in this game, and a big reason why Thomas More has the 7-point lead that they do, will head to the free throw line with one thing on her mind, and that's knocking down a couple of free throws.
Win, lose, or draw, Taylor Close really needed to have a good game to kind of win back her own confidence. She had struggled the last couple of games, and now up to 10 points here and hitting some clutch free throws down the stretch.
So now an 8-point lead for Thomas More, 46.8 seconds remain. Second free throw is good for Close. Thomas More back up by 9. Close heads out. Schwarber checks in.
Yeah, they want Schwarber out there to have a little bit more size on the defensive end and hopefully some rebounding prowess as well. But I don't think we've seen the last of Taylor Close here tonight. I think she'll be back out there in an offensive situation.
Knocked away there by Kenzie Schwarber, and a foul will be called on Sammy Rogers. That's sayonara to Sammy.
Wow.
She heads out after committing 4 fouls here in this fourth quarter. Still an impressive effort for her, 21 points and 9 rebounds for her total.
Yeah, but a really rough time here in this final stanza for the star player for Campbellsville, leading them in scoring this season, 3rd in the conference as Schwarber makes the free throw. And right now with a 10-point lead and 39.6 left to go, you almost can start the buses.
That is another knockdown for Schwarber. A little more pure on that second effort than the first, and Thomas More is 35 seconds away from knocking off the #1 team in the NAIA. Here's Gregory. The desperation triple's good. Campbellsville on life support, but still breathing. 27.9 seconds remaining as we have a 30-second timeout on the floor.
Yeah, a little string music being played there for Campbellsville, but still, it might be too little, too late, but still a lot of time left here. 27.9 left to go, but still right now, 8-point lead for Thomas More. You've got to get this ball inbounded and get it across the timeline.
I said before this game, Brady, that this game alone could have national championship feels to it. And the way that we're seeing these two teams go at it today, I'm probably going to stand by that the next time these two teams take each other on later in February.
You know, and I mean, it's very distinct possibility that these two teams could face each other 2 more times because you still have the conference tournament also. So, yeah, I mean, that might be overstating it just a bit on February the 1st, but it's still one of those marquee matchups that you definitely want to hype up, that's for sure.
Thomas More leads by 8, under 30 seconds to go, and they've got the ball. If you're on the Campbellsville side, Brady, it's got to be a quick steal, obviously.
Yeah.
Are you getting to the point where you just almost have to foul if you don't get the steal in the first maybe second or two here of actual play for Thomas More?
I think they have enough confidence in their own trapping defense to get the steal, you know, even beyond the first pass. But you're right, they can't. You know, well, actually, yeah, that's right. They advanced the inbounds here, so, yeah, they will go for a foul here, too. They probably will do the foul here.
Here now is Barth. Barth will heave it up to Hurst. And Pritchett, who's got to be careful, she's got 3 fouls here in this one, will give now back to Barth.
Now's where you got to try to foul, and they're not going to do it, Nate.
So Thomas More burning off clock like it's no one's business. Barth will have it. Tight defense from Savannah Gregory.
Man.
A foul will be called.
They played him straight up there, Nate. I was kind of surprised there, to be honest with you, especially once we're realizing that the ball had been advanced.
And so Savannah Gregory picks up her 4th foul here of the game, and Zoe Barth heads to the free throw line for icing on the cake. First one on the way.
I know Ginger Colvin has a lot of respect for Jeff Hands and the program here at Thomas More, and she kind of pretty much showed it right there to display him straight up and not try to extend the game.
Second free throw, ice water for Zoe Barth as they have a 10-point lead and 10 seconds left. Pedigo gives off to Gregory. The triple, no good. Rebound goes to Zoe Barth. 4 seconds remain. Tight defense as Summer Seacrest has it. And the Saints go marching, knocking off the #1 Campbellsville Tigers 65-55.